Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today you join me down Hordle Lakes. It's been recommended to me. It's been pretty hard finding a venue that isn't spawning because I'm not one of those that are going to go fish while they're spawning. Anyway, the sun's out, we're back down by the lake, the beers are chilling, life's good, let's have it. So we just spoke to the owner, Alf. He's a cracking bloke, he's got the time for everybody. We've gone through the stock, there's some really nice carp in here to go at. So what we're going to do is we're going to go find some fish, run you through the approach, get the rods out there, and hopefully we can get amongst some of the stock. Also, just before we get into it, so it's a 2-acre lake, there's 110 carp in here, so it's not overloaded, it's not going to be a complete runs water, but it's a good chance of getting a few bites, and that's the venues we want. I've come across a couple of spots, I've seen carp jumping in the swim, they are absolutely everywhere, so I think there's definitely a bite or two to be had. So let's go find them, double check we're in the right spot, clip up to our spots and get the rigs out there. So the first spot to my liking, we've come down to this margin and there's a fair few carp down here. They're jumping. There is a pole just down here and I've just clipped a rod just off of it. Just an underarm flick and it's a nice gravel spot down there and it's going to be silly not to put a rig down there as I think that is almost a guaranteed bite. So the other spots, we've got a lovely island in front of us, but I'm not going to fish it tight. That island to be pressured all the time, the carp will be pressured. I've clipped up 2 rods just off the island, about a rod length back on each side. You've got a nice gravel spot down that side and a nice firm spot down there, and the carp are clearly there and I do think they're up for a feed and there's definitely bites to be had over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through the rigs. We're going to get the rigs out there with a little bit of bait and hopefully we can get off to an early start and bag one of these crackers and maybe even one of these cracking 30-pounders out of stock. I really want to show you what this lake's capable of. If you want to check them out, they're on Swim Booker. Come down, have a chat with Alf, yeah, run you through the lake. So after gauging what's on the bottom, having a little feel around, it's pretty clear, it's gravelly, it's firm, so I'm happy to present any rig out there. So I'm going straight in with a Ronnie rig with a 5.5-inch boom, a fruity crab wafter from Ace Baits, bit of putty to balance it out, giving it that extra hooking property from the weight. We're running that into a lead clip system with a 3-ounce lead and a 1.5 foot of rig tubing, purely because of fish safety and also to pin it out the way and hopefully not get them carp spooking off the spot. Next rod is the exact same approach, just slightly different bait with a pink squid pop up in 12mm from Ace Baits again. If you want to check out Ace Baits, acebaits.co.uk, 10% off with code BaileySmith10. So it's time to get them rods out there and hopefully get amongst some of these carp. So with the carp showing down in this margin, there's a number of them down there. I want to quickly get that rod out. I've just put a bit of PVA foam on to stop any tangles. I know it's going to be sat down there perfectly. Plus it's easier to bait around it. So let's quickly get that rod out there. Hopefully it doesn't take long to get amongst them because there's a fair few down there. Doing that watercraft and finding them is the key to fishing. You find them, get on them, feed them, you'll catch them. Let's get this out there. Go spot on right on top of those carp. So I've just come down to that spot where I've just casted the rod. I'm going to go in with the Ace Baits fruity crab bottom baits in 15mm. They're perfect, they're quickly digesting it to keep them carp on the spot for a longer period of time. With the breakdown rate, it's easier on their stomach, they're happy to sit there and eat longer. Also, I've got a bucket of washed out boilies which I'm also going to introduce, so it looks like they've been down there for a longer period of time and hopefully the carp think that bait's a little bit older and they can feed on that spot more confidently. Let's get some bait out there and hopefully it tears off. So now moving on to them rods that are just slightly off the island. Again, the bit of foam, that's another fruity crab wafter going out. To get that on the spot, there's another load of carp down there. I'm fishing over 3 packs of carp, so it shouldn't take too long before one of those rods go off. Lovely little drop on there, perfect. Foam is just about to come up right there and I'm very happy with that. That's bang on the spot. And now it's just time to introduce a little bit of bait over the top again. Give them something to feed on, give them a reason to stay there, give them a reason to come to your spot. And the one thing in fishing is the horrible part is losing a carp, and that's not what you want. So what I've done is I've hand sharpened all the hooks. You want it dead sharp, it's going to pierce your skin, it's going to hurt you. From the moment when that fish picks up the bait to going in the net, that sharp hook is what's going to land you that carp or not land you that carp. So by sharpening your hooks, you're going to up your catch rates and stop dropping those fish so often. So a carp's just jumped out on the spot that I'm going to cast this to, on the gravel spot. So we're going to get it over there quickly. It's easily mid 20 to 30. This is looking very promising. I think we're going to have a busy night on the way. Let's get this one out there. And now to introduce baits over those next spots, I'm going in with a catapult, and everyone says ringing a dinner bell with a spod, but a spod can be a little bit noisy, and the bait's going in with a plop and going down. You can sometimes get them fish diving down in your spots and pick off quicker bites. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catapult around ½ kilo on each spot again, get a nice scatter in to get them fish moving around, trying to find them baits and hopefully coming across that hook bait while they're doing so. So the rods are out there, Puck are happy with those. As you just saw me putting out bait, I've baited beyond, back and left and right of each spot. So with the swim being small, in between each rod you've probably got bait everywhere. And the point behind that is if you're fishing just a tight bed of bait, the carp may come across it and be a bit skeptical, and you're basically just passing it to them pretty easily. But with the scattering, you're keeping them moving around and second guessing what one is actually going to trick them up. So if they're going from one spot, having a couple of baits, they might move on to your next spot, following the scattering around and accidentally pick up that hook bait without even realising that there's a trap down there. So that's the point behind that. Hopefully that works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back, relax, have some food, crack open a beer, and hopefully them rods will be singing away pretty soon. Wow, we're seeing signs of carp down in the bay down there, multiple jumping. I had to quickly jump on it, clip a rig on and get it straight out there. As you saw, went around with the catapult and got some baits down there straight on top of them. That one's just enough for a couple of mouthfuls, and hopefully we can bag one from that. They're clearly down there, they're clearly active, so I've taken the opportunity to get a rod on them, and hopefully that'll be the one that does the bite. Effort equals a reward. Go out there, put the effort in, and you will get rewarded. about quick bites, moving that rod, getting it into the bait. It tore off, but unfortunately we lost that one. There's not a lot we can do. We can learn from it. What I've done is I've brought the rig in, I've quickly sharpened the hook, fresh bait straight back over there, a couple more baits with the catapult over the top, press and repeat. Things are working. Let's push forward and hopefully get one on the bank the next run.
Good morning. Absolutely nothing last night. We had carp crashing on the spots and just couldn't pick a bite off, so I'm gonna have to change a few things this morning. I'm just about to do a hook bait change, change a few other things, then get the rods back out there on them spots, and hopefully today we can turn it around and the next 24 hours is going to be a lot more productive, because something's clearly not working. They're clearly not up for something, because I've seen them feeding on the spot. So what we're going to do is, as I said, hook bait change, have a little think about it, have a little scout out, see what's going on, and then get them rods back out there and hopefully have a productive day today.
Wow. From other venues I was thinking my rig was pretty effective, but I have just dropped another run back from that bay again. Casted it about half an hour ago with a natural nut wafter, couple of natural nut baits over the top, not a lot at all, about 5/18s and about 10 15s, and I managed to pick a bite off. The rod was whipped around, and again the time I jumped up and got to it, it was off. So a hook change on that, onto a long shank X, a hand sharpen. Again, we can only learn from it. We push forward. Fishing's about learning. Sometimes you think you've got things down to the T. That rig has been working on other venues, but you come to another venue and it may not work, and that can be down to the fish being more wiser, or they've seen more. They know how to eject that setup a little bit better than the other venue. So little change. Hopefully it won't take too long to get another run off that bush. Now that's 2 runs from there, and hopefully the next one we're seeing our landing net.
So what I've done is I've opted in for a snowman with an Ace Baits natural nut wafter topped off with a 12mm pineapple pop-up, switching those hooks over to long shank X's, as the other hook pattern has lost me 2 fish already. And then on the other 2 rods, just going in with the natural nut wafter without the pop-up to see what one works first, and then we can gauge it from there again.
We're coming up to about 2-3 p.m. I think it is, sort of going into the afternoon time now. Nothing yet, but I've been watching this 30-pound fish. Alf's come around, he said it's definitely that one. The width of it is mental. I've seen the fish online and it's just going up and down the margin all day, and I'm watching it. I'm trying to find out exactly what it's doing to hopefully try and trick this one up. So I've been putting in little amounts of bait in the margin. It's regularly visiting that spot. I can watch it go down, dive down. It's probably picking off like 1 or 2 boilies at a time, and then it's swimming off. And then every half an hour or so, just dropping a little bit of extra bait in, 10 boilies. The fish then comes back, has another mouthful, and then goes again. So by putting a rig down in the margin and just keep tempting that fish in, hopefully at some point over the next 24 hours we can actually land that one, which would be very nice to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the videos of the fish in now. Will look a little bit smaller in the water, but I've had it right up again towards my feet and I've seen the whole width of the fish. And as I said, I've just been watching what it's doing, where it's going, and really trying to work out what it's doing. Fish are a nature of habit. Some fish will always visit the same spots and do the same routine and always come back in spells to feed. Every feeding pattern so far seems to be about half an hour to 45 minutes apart after putting in bait. So hopefully, I'm not going to guarantee it for you, but we'll land that one. That'd be a nice one to do. But I'm a bit more hopeful for tonight, so I do think there's a few fish on the cards. So I'm just going to keep powering through, keep on putting the effort in, walking around, trying to find out what's going on, having a look at the fish, and I think I'm starting to work out the place a little bit more, which hopefully will pay off this evening. Well, final update of the evening, it's 7 p.m. Still not a lot happening, but there is carp moving up and down the margins. A lot of them have pushed down to the other end. They're moving around constantly. So what I've done is I've just gauged the bait up. I've got 3 spots, 3 rods on the spot, and I've put out, I don't know, at least half a kilo on each spot, spread about, a nice scattering. I want them to sort of come across that bait and get them in front of my swim, trying to better the other anglers with a decent amount of bait. The carp can actually stay there, feed for a period of time, and there's enough there, there's enough freebies for them to keep going at it without getting tricked up, but hopefully get a number of carp moving in, so when we do finally get into our first one, the others will stay around, or once they spook off, they're going to come back for the food. There's going to be more food, and then we'll top it up again, and that's the plan for the evening. So hopefully we get into them. If not, I'll see you in the morning. There could be another night on the cards, but we'll speak about that tomorrow.
Wow, another night of absolutely nothing. There's not a lot more we can really do. I've put all the effort in I can, following the carp yesterday, trying to work out their feeding patterns and really going into it, and still nothing. The whole lake, I've asked every single day whether they've had nothing, and nothing's been out across the whole lake. So the carp are clearly not up for a feed. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reel in, pack down, load stuff into the car, go to the shop, stock up, then come back and start a whole new session again in a different peg. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we can at least get amongst some of the carp that are in here.
Wow, after sitting there and thinking for hours what is the best option to do, and to be honest, it was to move. We're now in peg 6. I've gone off to the shops, I've stocked up on food, as I was only supposed to do 2 nights. Had a shower, packed down everything completely, and we're starting as a new session. We're here for redemption. Hopefully we could bag a few carp. I've got a couple of different tactics stored away in the bag, so hopefully tonight is our night. There's a few carp down here. For the change of the wind, they've definitely pushed down this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get everything rigged up, ready to get them rods out. We'll talk about it and we'll get it out there and see what tonight brings us. So after hearing the lake responds very well to maggot and corn, I've made a mix up with maggot and corn. It's a lot more attractive rather than just boilies. We've got chopped boilies, crushed boilies, whole boilies, different liquids in there. And then for the rig presentation, we're going in with a Medusa rig, topped off with 5 maggots on a ace-based natural nut bottom bait, and hopefully that does the trick for us. We're going in stealthy, we're lowering them into the margins. It's very silty down there, so we don't really want to cast. So all I'm going to do is just hold the rod out, lower it down, and then present the bait over the top of that. So let's go get this rod out there, bait the other ones up, get them out there, and hopefully redemption's on the way. And I wish I was trying to record the second rod going out. I thought the camera was on, but it wasn't. So basically all I've done is exact same approach again. Bit of foam because there's a bit of a further cast. You've got a monk's cake in the margin. They're showing about 2 rod lengths off. So just chucking it to the distance they're at, nice and lightly, just so it don't plug into the silt too much. A couple of catapults of that bait over, which I'm going to show you in a second. And now we're down to our 3rd rod. Get that out, and by the way, they are already jumping in that margin. They've responded to the maggot pretty quickly, so hopefully it doesn't take too long. I'm assuming it's the maggot they're responding to, because that's the only thing I'm doing differently. All the corn, and they're straight onto it, and there's a liner, so hopefully it's going to go any second. Here we are, let's get into the bait mix. We've got 15mm fruity crab, 18mm fruity crab, the same sizes with the natural nut, crushed up. We've got a proper sloshy mix. It's in all different liquids, sweet corn, maggots. The most high attract mix I could possibly make. We got that over the 3 rods, over 3 Medusa rigs, lowered into likely looking spots. We're getting liners. Let's see exactly how this goes.
Wow, good morning. Another night of nothing. A few more liners than the past few nights. I'm gonna push it out until later on today. Got the sausages cooking for breakfast. It's probably well loud. So all I've done is I've woken up and I've noticed the fish are fizzing and jumping further beyond. So 3 singles for the rest of today. It's currently 7 a.m. I'm going to push it till about 1-2 p.m. I've got 1 7.5 wraps towards the island on a yellow pucker pine pop up, and 2 pink squid pop-ups out there, 1 at 7.5 wraps and 1 at 10.5 wraps, and there is fish over there. Middle rod's just had the fattest liner ever. It felt like a run. I jumped up, but a fish did crash over where it was, so clearly a liner. So that's your update for now. We're going to keep pushing forward and hopefully we can just bag one before we go home. We're in desperate need right now.
Well, just when I thought my session was ending, I was all packed down in the car park saying my goodbyes to Alv. Talking about the video that I was going to upload, which is the one you're watching. So I just stood there and then I get some message that every carp angler wishes they had when they was on the bank. No work tomorrow, crack on and fish. So that's freed up 1 more night. I was supposed to be here for 2 nights. We're going into our 4th night, but things are changing and drastically. The wind's hacking it down. There's loads of carp boshing along this margin. We're in a new swim. We're in peg 1 now. We've had a little bit of light rain. The water temperatures are dropping. Everything's seeming like the carp are definitely starting to liven up a little bit more and maybe just get on the feed, and there may be opportunities to pick off some bites. So is this redemption? We will find out. So what I'm going in with is 3 single hook baits. Ace baits, pink squid pop-ups in 12mm, all 3 on the same. We're going to lower 2 across that back margin where I'm seeing the main bulk of the fish, and then we're going to go opt-in for 1 literally just a couple of rod lengths out. They all seem to be into this corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record myself getting them rods out. We're going to lower them in there, be as stealthy and quietly as possible, and hopefully this evening is payback time for the fish making me blank for 3 nights. So here we go, let's get into it. Let's see if we can actually bag one this time. Well, here we are in peg 1, all set up, ready to go again. Let's have it. Let's try and get on this carp. Let's show you a bit of the water. So we've got the back margin here. Predominantly the fish are showing just here in front of this reed bed where my fingers are going now. There's loads jumping down there. It's looking prime for a bite, prime to put a rod down there. And then just further on down the margin, it's well hard to do this. There's a scaffold pole, which has supposedly good form. So we're going to put a rod down there and I've rod a few rod lengths out. We have got the access to the island. Nothing come off the island last night. So I'm just trying to do a bit of watercraft for that rod. But at the moment, I'm thinking a few rod lengths out because that is where, again, I'm seeing some activity, some fizzing, a few boshing there last night. So let's go get them rods out. Stop chatting so much. So one slight change of plan is I couldn't actually chuck it from over there and get it over. So what I've done is I've left my rod here, cast it over onto the bank, leads over there. We'll go find it, clip our rig on, and then chuck it in from there. So let's go get that one in. We'll have to do that with the second one as well, which I'll get some footage of, and then we'll move on to the 3rd rod. So once I've cast it over to the far bank, you come and retrieve your lead. So now I've got the line going across the water. There's no clutter going in, there's no leads going in. You then simply clip your rig on, just like normal. Pull that tubing over. I still presents a bit of foam on there while it gets chucked in, just in case. And then simply just lower it or just give it a little chuck to your spot. So the rods are out there, all happy with those. 2 leads cast over to the far bank, rigs on, 1 lowered in and 1 just chucked out a little bit further. Spot on. I did put about 6 to 7 boilies over each rod, and then the 3rd rod's literally 2 rod lengths off the swim, very close in. A big common did just jump out over that way. So it's looking more likely. I'm not going to get my hopes up like I have the last few days, because I feel like I've been sort of
is it reverse manifesting? I don't know what you call it, but you know what I mean. Like, I've been saying that it's going to happen and it hasn't happened, and I think that's really gone against my luck. So I'm not saying nothing. I'm confident in how the rods are sat. The weather's changed, and now we just see what happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back, have some food. I'm starving. I've been on the move for about 4 hours, packing down, going to the shop, then setting back up and trying to record. So, right, catch you all in a bit. Well, one last update for me just before it gets dark. The sun's going down in the background. There's carp all over the spots. I did have a rechuck a minute ago. 2 leads over on... There's carp jumping everywhere. This is ridiculous. 2 leads straight over onto the far bank. Obviously going around, retrieving the lead, clipping it on, hand placing it into the water, just as I showed you before. There's carp absolutely everywhere. I don't really know what's going on this session. I don't know if it's whether because they're due to spawn, it's really putting them off on the feeding side. But the night will tell. We're really desperate for a carp now. We've already pushed it into the extra 2 nights. And I would normally be very confident with the amount of activity that's going on behind me. But as the last 3 nights have proven, nothing's promised in life, so we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to sit there, probably going to be up all night just waiting. The amount of liners I had is ridiculous. But yeah, I'm just going to sit there and wait for that anticipated run, and hopefully next time I see you, maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, I've got a decent reward in that sling from the effort we've put in. Well, good morning again. Not on a good note at all. 4th day in, no carp at all. We're just speaking about possibly the carp being put off feeding. They're a little bit pissed off. They've had all this warm weather come through. They're right on the brink of spawning, and then we've had 2 cooler days and it's set them back, and they're really not up for the feed. Literally just pissed off, basically. Or they have spawned without anyone even realising. Who knows? I'm not using that as an excuse. I've got nothing to say other than this happens. This is why it's called fishing. Otherwise it would be called catching. But top quality venue. Everything's very well kept, cut back properly. Al's a cracking bloke. He'll give you all the information you need to know on the venue. And it's really a decent lake. So if you're thinking about coming down, come down. I'm sure it won't be fishing the way it's fished for me. I've just come down at the completely wrong time. I've tried every tactic and the carp just ain't having it at all. So there's a couple of hours left of the session. Something could happen, but with the way it's gone, I doubt it's going to. But I'm going to hold it out because you never know. It might just kick off in a moment. And it could all change around. So we're going to push it out for a few hours, but I will be going home today. I'm not pushing it out for another night again. We're already 2 extra nights down. So I'll see you guys in a couple of hours, either with a fish or going home. One of the 2.
Chopping and changing tactics to try and suit the fish and outwit them. But unfortunately, a blank for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week on the next upload.